The research involved visiting families in different communities, 14 families in each of the 2 communities that we've got on videotape here, and visiting their homes, sitting around and chatting with the families for a little while, and then as the babies got comfortable, they were 12 to 24-month-olds, after a while we brought out novel objects and asked the mothers to help them operate these objects. Some of them were toys, things like a nesting doll, a jumping jack toy that you pull the strings on, an embroidery hoop. And we told the mothers that these were objects that were rather difficult for toddlers to manage and asked them to help the toddler as the toddler needed it. The little girl wants a jumping jack, and I hand it to her mother, because we always did. "Oh, look at that," says the mother, in a kind of mock excitement to attract the child's attention. "I'll play that for you again."
"Oh, look at that."
I can see that.
Kind of motivating the child to get involved in handling the object the way the mother wants. In the middle-class European American community in Salt Lake City, Utah, many of the parents organized lessons for the children, and they oriented the children to the task. They used mock excitement to get the children interested. They praised the children for doing things the way the parents wanted them done, and they focused the children on little lessons like vocabulary lessons, labeling things, or little naming routines like identifying body parts on a toy or on themselves.
What is that? The hat. What is that? What is that? What is it?
In the start of this, the baby says hat, and the mother goes into a language lesson.
What is that?
The mother started it off by saying, "What is that, Sarah?" And the baby answers, "Hat." The mother prompted it. The child labeled the hat. They went on to label other body parts. The father pitched in to make sure that the child got the right label for the right thing.
Eye.
Can do a little better.
Nose. Show me the nose.
"Show me the nose," says the mother, and the baby gets tired of the game. All of this was not a request for information. The mother didn't need to know what the names of things were. It wasn't a real request for information. It was just a game to see if the baby could identify the parts. Those are lessons that the European American middle class caregivers seem to regard as important for the children's learning. They were out of the context of the children's ongoing activities. They were focused on teaching and learning themselves. A contrast occurs in the Mayan community in Guatemala, where I've done research, where there's very few of those lessons. But there's interaction between caregivers and children in which talk is used to accomplish ongoing efforts, and in which the caregivers are very responsively supporting the toddler's efforts to learn. They often provide a little orientation to whatever the activity is, and then follow the child's lead. They're not getting so much of the face-to-face language lesson instruction, but they are embedded in language perhaps more constantly than are the Salt Lake City children. The Salt Lake City children have language directed at them, specialized language. In many cases, it's intended as a lesson. So in the Mayan setting, there's not this specialized conversation about words, but there's a lot of use of words in doing things together. In the Mayan community, there was also a very skilled use of nonverbal communication. In the U.S. middle-class European American community, nonverbal communication was also important, but it was not nearly as prevalent or commonly used as in the Mayan community. The child has an extra object in her hands now, and the mother's going to tell her to get rid of it. She touches the object, and then she touches the back of the child's hand and telling the child to give the object to me so that she has her hands free to handle the jumping jack toy. Let's watch that one again. Mother wants the baby's hands free, touches the toy, touches her arm, and the baby understands clearly, hands it over to me.